Blaze one for the nation.
KCBR AM Monument, K253AH Colorado Springs.
It's crazy, you heard me?
The new Blazin' 98.5.
What month is it?
Wait, what month is it?
What month is it?
It's May. What day is it?
May 1st.
This is May Day.
May Day.
May Day.
We had a terrible experience.
Well, that was last month. This is this month.
It's better times, huh?
Well, it can't get any worse.
Think positive, think positive.
I can do that.
All right.
Let's get this show on the road. Showtime.
Welcome into the Sports Guy Mike Show, where we're always positive here. It is May Day, first day of May. April is gone. I guess, you can kind of be happy about that, kind of moving on to a new month, thinking positive, like Homer said. Welcome into the program. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, making us part of your day. We appreciate you as always. We'll have a special guest a little bit later on in the program. We're going to talk to Brandon Morrell. He is the host of the Sports Guys podcast. No relation to your boy, but very entertaining guys. And we're actually going to talk to Brandon about the Texans, since we've been profiling a lot of the NFL teams up to the draft. And now that the draft is gone, now we're talking to some guys about their teams and teams that they cover in regards to how well or bad their teams did in the NFL draft. And of course, tons to talk to him about. Deshaun Watson just inked or extended his deal. Definitely going to talk to him or ask him about D-Hop and all that good stuff. So stick around for that. We got that coming up. But today, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but today is a good day. And the reason I say it's a good day is because today is actually, or I should say, Happy Colorado legalized sports betting day. I don't know. But back in November of 19, the passage of HB 1327, or Prop DD, as you may know, allowed sports betting, to be legal here in the state of Colorado. Now, there were supposed to be some what they call land-based or on-site sports books that were supposed to open today, but because of course, the coronavirus outbreak, that's kind of been pushed back. The other fact is that there's no sports to bet on. Now, there are things to bet on that people have figured out a way to handle and take care of. But, it's just crazy how all this, some people like myself waited and waited for this to happen, because I am a guy that, likes to give out picks, and I'm actually, I'm a 75% or 80%er. I'm pretty hardcore on the mark there. So when all this comes back, make sure you guys check me out, because that'll be part of the Sports Guy Mike Show as well. We're going to get back into that as well. But so May 1st, online sports betting and of course land-based sports betting is now legal here in the beautiful state of Colorado. So happy legal sports betting in Colorado Day, if that's a thing, I guess, right? Some coronavirus insanity stories for you guys today. I got some more messages and some DMs from you guys, and hey, you want to hear them, I will find them for you. Not a problem. If you want to send any information, you guys can always go to us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, Instagram at SportsGuyMike. You can hit me up there, or you can always drop me an email at mike@sportsguymike.com, which I've gotten quite a few emails about some stuff. So keep them coming. I'm all for it. I love getting responses and feedback and all that good stuff. So make sure you hit me up. Okay. So a guy right here in Colorado is selling a pretty stupid product, if you ask me, but hey, it is what it is. It's called the Social Stick, and this stick extends to 6 feet so that you can tell if you're far enough away from people in social distancing. Now, this guy's from Fort Collins, and he's an engineer, And he's the guy that created the social stick. Now, I don't know if he patented the name or what the deal is. Good luck to him. It looks stupid. It looks like a stick. But anyway, yeah. And what's funny is the guy that's interviewing him he's interviewing him with a boom mic that's probably about 6 feet long. And instead of holding it above him, he's actually holding it underneath him. So, yeah, there you go. Someone in Northern California threw 1,000 medical face masks out of their truck, and people dodged traffic on the highway to pick them up. Just, if somebody's that stupid, here's my thought process. Maybe just keep driving and report it. Call 311 or 211 or whoever you need to call. But yeah, there's some footage on that as well. Police and other vehicles stopped out on the highway. Actually, they were on I-880 in Northern California. A woman in Turkey died on Sunday when she fell off a cliff while posing for a photo to celebrate the end of the town's coronavirus lockdown. Now, I know death is not funny, but this is just plain stupid. Why in the world would you try to take a photo on the edge of a cliff? First of all, I am sorry that this woman is now gone, but I mean, come on, people. Celebrate a little bit. You've been in a lockdown for a pandemic, and you're going to be dumb enough to stand close to the edge of a cliff? Oh, dear God. An 11-year-old girl carjacked a family in Boston while hiding her face with a medical face mask. Police found the girl and the car down the street and took her into custody. Now, you all know me well enough to know that Boston, not my favorite place, and you know how I feel about that. But I am going to say this. Of course, it happened in Boston. Beer sales are way up, especially cheap beers like Busch Light, Miller Lite, and Natural Light. But condom sales have plummeted. Just saying. Someone in Philly posted a video of a supermarket that put all its checkout workers in plastic tents. Okay, now I've seen the plastic drop downs when you go to Walmart and Dollar Tree and some of these other places, you know, but in plastic tents? I mean, do they have holes for them to stick their hand? I mean, I don't even know how that works. If somebody's got a video of that, send me the link, Mike@SportsGuyMike.com, please, because I'm trying to find it right now. Someone, a KFC in England finally reopened, and the drive-through line immediately got so long that cops finally had to come. The worst part of the drive-through wasn't even operating. They were only open for delivery. So, yeah. That's kind of one of my biggest fears. And, not just how many people are going to be in spaces that we're normally not used to them being all at once, but now it's going to be even worse with people trying to go somewhere. And one, it's just going to be jam-packed no matter where you go. And the fact that it could trigger a second wave. And I would absolutely hate for that to happen. In the sports world, we know that The Last Dance has been on for the past few weekends. Of course, it'll be on again this weekend. Parts 5 and 6 are on this Sunday. But a little tidbit of information about Michael Jordan. Here's how filthy, stinking, ridiculously rich Michael really is. He once had a chance to make $100 million for not much more than 2 hours of work, and he turned it down. And I'm going to tell you why. His agent says, quote, all he had to do was, other than giving his name and likeness, make 1 2-hour appearances to announce the deal, and he turned it down. Quote, God bless him. He's been so successful, it gives him the opportunity to do whatever the hell he wants to do or not do that he doesn't want to do. He's very, very sensitive in things he wants to be involved in. Now, it doesn't say specifically what it was, but they were appearances. First of all, I know how much money Michael made. It got to the point where Michael was making more money on his endorsement deals than he was playing the game of basketball. And it only took the second or third year, I believe, that he was in the NBA for that to come to pass. But to turn down $100 million freaking dollars is just, it is bananas, insane. The story we got is over at brobible.com. I can't believe. I mean, that's rich, dude. You are stinking filthy, ridiculously rich. Michael Jordan, when you're like, 100 mil, I got to do what? Nah, man, I'm not doing that. Wait, what? I know his agent was probably mad because the agent gets cut of everything. Agent was probably like, wait, what? Hey, man, I want to get my piece. Can you just do this for 2 hours so we can move on? Oh, my word. It's sometimes, and that's just the thing, they say about the rich getting richer. Apparently, sometimes when you're that rich, it just doesn't matter anymore. And finally, NASCAR is coming back on May 17th for all you NASCAR fans. I know my boy B Mac will be happy to hear this. We're getting a major sports back roughly in 2 weeks. Of course, NASCAR is starting back up with a cup race on May 17th. Over a 10-day period, they plan to run several races on tracks in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Darlington, South Carolina. There won't be any fans, so don't get that excited, NASCAR people. But the races will be broadcast on Fox and FS1. So if you want more information on that, I suggest you go to those websites. We got this off of HollywoodReporter.com. But yeah, I know my boy is he's a big NASCAR fan. Look, I'm just not into, oh, look, he's turning left. Oh, look, he's turning left. So, yeah, no. I mean, I know people say, oh, man, I watch it for the crashes. Well, that's just sick. Like you're watching it to watch people crash? That's horrible. That's almost sadistic, quite frankly. I mean, who wants to see people thoroughly get hurt? That's not cool. There's nothing nice about that, right? Just saying. All right, y'all, stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk to Brandon Morrell. He is one of the hosts of the Sports Guys podcast. No relation to Sports Guy Mike, but they do a good job over there. And we're going to talk to Brandon about Houston Texans and what's going on with them. How much truth is there to the whole, Bill O'Brien and D Hop didn't get along? We're going to get to the bottom of that and talk to Brandon about that. Coming up next, stick around, y'all. It's the Sports Guy Mike Show, presented by Venture Travel and Tickets. Make sure you give them a call at 719-357-7510. If you're looking to book any vacation, look, things are getting lifted. Most airlines, they just require that you wear a mask. Look, I know people are going to want to get out there. Make sure you call Venture Travel and Tickets. They'll help you with airfare, hotel, car, all inclusive. If you're looking to book a cruise, anything of that nature, make sure you give them a call. They will be more than happy to help you out. It's Venture Travel and Tickets, 719-357-7510. Venture Travel and Tickets, the best way to get away. So make sure you give them a call. Let them know that Sports Guy Mike sent you. All right, y'all. Keep it locked. Sports Guy Mike Show. KCBR. Don't go nowhere.
Adult Youth Swanson Counseling is a licensed and accredited OBH treatment facility providing people services in the criminal justice system for over 6 years. Adult Youth Swanson Counseling is located on 1826 East Platte, on the corner of Platte and Union, where the counselors are not only licensed and accredited, but also have life experience. They offer court-ordered DUI classes and any mandated court-ordered treatment. Use the promo code RADIO and pay only $20 for your initial intake fee for level 2. Adult Youth Swanson Counseling, where we help you feel better so you can get better and live a successful life.
Are you a first-time home buyer having trouble finding the right realtor that fits your needs? Well, look no further. Call Brandy Mendones with Keller Williams Clients Choice Realty at 719-291-4678. Take a journey into real estate with a top-notch company and a top-notch hands-on realtor that has your real estate success in mind.
I've been in the Colorado Springs area for 14 years, and I love experiencing everything the beautiful state of Colorado has to offer. I've raised my children here and would love to help you find your next home in Southern Colorado.
Call Brandy at 719-291-4678 with Keller Williams Clients Choice Realty, where
home and happiness happen.
Having car problems? Maintenance coming up on your vehicle? Don't gamble your money away at other mechanic shops. Come to All Service Auto. At All Service Auto, you get the quality workmanship and parts that you demand. Professionals at All Service Auto strive to make your experience the best you've ever had, from beginning to end. Everything from engine replacements to tire rotations. All Service Auto can get your vehicle back on the road and driving like you want it. No job is too big or too small. All Service Auto works on all makes and models, making them your one-stop mechanic shop. With affordable prices and customer service that is leaps and bounds above the rest, make your first choice All Service Auto, located at 3455 Chelton Loop, right near the intersection of Platte and Chelton. Call to set up your next appointment at 719-573-0292. Taking care of vehicles and the people who drive them. All Service Auto. Call now, 719-573-0292. All Service Auto.
due to recent events with COVID-19, Liberty Tax now can do your tax return remotely. Give them a call at 866-871-1040 or visit them online at libertytax.com. Type in your zip code to find your nearest Liberty Tax office today. That's 866-871-1040. Liberty Tax, where you do life, they do taxes.
When you bring your taxes to Liberty Tax, we'll handle it. No matter what you throw at us, no matter what you need, no matter what. And we're so confident we'll do a great job. You'll want to bring us your friends, your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, your co-workers. You may even want to bring us everyone in the world. But please don't. We're not staffed for that. Liberty Tax. Bring it. We'll handle it.
Hey, Bill, sorry to hear about your car accident. How are you doing?
Not good, Mary. My neck is killing me.
Have you found an attorney for your claim yet?
You know, I went to one of those guys that you see on TV all the time, and they said my claim was too small.
You need to call McDowell Law Firm. No claim is too big or too small. They specialize in criminal defense, DUI defense, and of course, personal injury.
I need that number.
You can call them at 719-227-0022. That's McDowell Law Firm at 719-227-0022 or online at McDowellFirm.com.
Thanks, Mary. I'm going to call him right now.
Blaze one for the nation.
KCBR AM Monument, K253AH Colorado Springs.
It's crazy, you heard me?
The new Blazin' 98.5.
It's Friday. But without going to work, every day could be Friday. Tomorrow it's Saturday. And you know what the next day is? It's Sunday. You won't be at the dirt track races because you'll be staying home. Sunday at home. Be there.
Welcome back to the Sports Guy Mike Show right here on KCBR 98.5, 95.7, AM 1040. And online at SportsGuyMike.com. You can also check us out at Sportscaster.com. Make sure you get over there and give us a like. If you happen to miss the show, you can always go over there and watch the replay. Got a bunch of our shows on there that you guys can go check. And don't forget, always check us out on social media at SportsGuyMike on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All right, y'all. I said he was making his way on the show. We got Brandon Morrell. Is it Morrell or Morel? How do you pronounce your name?
Morel.
Morel. Gotcha. Brandon Morrell, he is one of the hosts of the Sports Guys podcast, and they do all kinds of stuff. They do music. They cover especially the Texans, and that's why we brought Brandon on. Make sure you guys definitely go check them out. But hey, buddy, thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man, appreciate you. Love the show, and I'm glad to contribute, brother.
Absolutely, man. So the first things first, man, when all this D-Hop thing started, the whole DeAndre Hopkins, it really got to the point where I was like, I am, and let me preface by saying that I'm a fan of Bill O'Brien's at Penn State. When he came to Houston, and I have family in Houston, don't get me wrong, and I just kind of wanted to see him kind of continue doing what he did well at Penn State. However, last season I had a really bad I kind of slayed him quite often about his play calling and putting, Deshaun in bad situations throughout the season. And I'm sure as you covered them, you saw that. And everybody saw that. But the whole DeAndre Hopkins thing really kind of blew my mind. And then when I heard that there was dissension in the ranks between the two of them, that there was some kind of weird animosity, please explain to me that at the end of the day, that two grown men couldn't figure out a way to get along, and that's why DeAndre Hopkins is gone?
I mean, you kind of explained it really good, Mike. I think, when it comes to contract situations, it's a big thing in the NFL. Guys want to get paid for their worth, and they want to get paid in a way that they're, paid amongst the top guys at their position. And I think, when it comes to D-Hop, I mean, he's such a fixture here in Houston, a former star at Clemson University. And, look, I'll say this. Look, I try to be very proactive for my team and want to say positive things, but you can't always be positive with your team, especially hometown. Look, 6 years of a head coach is a long time in the NFL. You see head coaches change every offseason when it comes to Black Monday and stuff like that. And O'Brien, to me, and look, is a little bit of a control freak. I'm not going to say that. He loves the popularity contest. He's a guy that has to be in control. I think you're right. He put Deshaun in some very unfortunate situations when it come to play calling last year, and they had to kind of invent things on the fly when the pocket collapsed. And I think Deshaun is a guy that can beat you, obviously, with his arm and his feet. He's very mobile, and the Texans have always had a problem on the offensive line. You look at, that's why they made the trade with the Dolphins to get Laramie Tunsil there last year and gave up first-round pick. So I think this is one of the things that caught everybody by surprise, going to Arizona. And the bottom line is why I say control freak is, okay, if you're going to move him based on contract situation and you can't afford him, why couldn't you get a first-round pick for one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL? Does that make sense? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and what did they get? A second round?
Second-round pick and a washed-up running back who I think, just 3-4 years ago in David Johnson, who did rush for 1,000 yards. But let's face it, the Cardinals wanted to get rid of a contract there. At the same time, and a salary dump for them, and all it cost them was a second-round pick that the Texans used right there, for the first pick, a Ross Blaylock out of TCU, which we're going to talk about. But, I think, again, putting up those kind of stats year in, year out, and being Deshaun's main target, now you're having to plug holes. You get a guy like Randall Cobb, a nice 3-year deal. He's a good slot receiver, coming from Dallas. He had 55 catches last year. So I think it's a good thing for them to get some stopgap guys. But, man, the playmaker down the field, the home run guys now in Arizona with Kyler Murray, and he's going to be proved to be that big target.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see. You got Fitz on one side, you'll have, D-Hop on the other side. I mean, Kyler Murray is going to have his hands full. He's going to have quite the weapons. But speaking of weapons, you're talking about Randall Cobb. You guys also went out and got Brandon Cooks as well. So tell me what you feel about that, because apparently Brandon feels awfully high about himself. He doesn't think that, being traded to several teams in a short period of time is not a bad thing. He thinks it's that, people want him. So tell me what you think about picking up Brandon Cooks.
Cooks is a guy that I'm not going to say flourished in a Sean McVay offense with the Rams last year, had 42 catches, near 600 yards. But here's a guy that has to come in and fill big shoes with D-Hop. Let's face it. I mean, Will Fuller cannot stay healthy. He's had injury after injury over the past few years after being drafted out of Notre Dame. A great home run threat if he could stay healthy. And I think, like you said, the play calling has to change. I think, O'Brien's going to do his thing this year, but don't be surprised if he doesn't rely on other members of the offensive staff when they get in third down situations or goal line situations. Cooks is a guy I've followed ever since Oregon State and ever being drafted by the Saints. He's been in high demand. And I was reading something the other day on, a website out there where he likes this. He's a guy that, wants to be kind of the face of the franchise when it comes to being a top receiver. And again, like you said, big shoes to fill. I like the home run deep threat. You can, line him up outside, on the numbers. The guy can run great routes. He's got great hands. And I think here's a guy that has to put up stats to fill Hopkins' shoes. I mean, they have a good receiving core as it is. Even I say without D-Hop, it's still a decent receiving core. I mentioned Randall Cobb. Kiki Kuti is a guy to Texas Tech that I've watched down here, a special teams guy that I like. DeAndre Carter. We mentioned kind of Will Fuller. Kenny Stills is going to be a guy that they really rely on this year to be kind of a deep threat and a good slot receiver. Again, it's about getting to the sticks, receivers making plays, good ball skills, and then can you get good yards after the catch? And I think Cooks is going to have to be that guy to step in and take over.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. This is a guy that, he's going to have to beef his numbers back up. The last time he had decent numbers was probably in 2018 when he was with the Rams. He only had 5 touchdowns, but he at least had 1,200 yards. It was probably the best year that he's had. New Orleans, he didn't do too bad. He had a 9-touchdown year in 2015 with New Orleans, but he's definitely going to have to come in and hopefully he's the one that's going to come in and fill D-Hop's shoes. And I'll tell you, those are some pretty big shoes to fill.
It is. I mean, you look at the stats. I mean, 1,000-yard receiving, double-digit touchdowns. And here's a guy ever since, the Texans did trade up to get Deshaun there, just now in his 5th year in the Texans offense. You look back at it. I mean, they had a close relationship on and off the field, did some great things in the community. So I think, Cook's coming over now has to establish that rapport. And here's the thing. Look, I know Deshaun studies his craft just like any quarterback in the league when it comes to the playbook. And knowing the X's and O's is a big thing. Cooks is going to have to come in, learn kind of more of a spread offense, a little bit of, RPO, no doubt about it, because they love RPO. They love running stretch. They love running a lot of the different, zone plays that they run. And I think you're going to see a lot more sweet plays. I think you could see a Cooks, get a handoff from a slot or something like that. And I coached high school, football for years, and we love the jet sweep. And now you're seeing more of that RPO and that spread offense in the NFL.
So the Texans picked up the 5th-year option on Deshaun Watson. And what's funny is I sat on this very program and talked to some other people. And, a lot of people, and I'm not the only one, I honestly thought that after D-Hop left, I honestly thought that Deshaun Watson was going to kind of throw his hands up and be like, you know what? I don't even know if I want you guys to pick up my 5th-year option. Is there any way I can get out of here? Because if you're going to trade away my my security blanket, who cares about you? You guys draw up your plays, do what you want to do. I'll follow whatever you want me to do. But you just took away my security blanket. And every quarterback has one. You know what I mean? Ben Roethlisberger had Heath Miller for the longest time. You know what I mean? You want your quarterback to feel comfortable that no matter what, he's got that one guy that he can depend on. Deshaun's not going to have that now. Now he's going to have to turn one of these other guys, like you said, into that security blanket. Out of all the receivers that we just talked about, who do you think that Deshaun is probably going to gel the best with to turn back into a security blanket?
For that too, and then watching the games last year, breaking it down, kind of watching some film, I think, a guy that's kind of under the radar and what's becoming more important in the Texans offense is a guy like Darren Fells. I think Darren Fells is a guy from the tight end position that made some key catches in some key ball games down the stretch last year too as well. So I think he kind of becomes slightly a new security blanket. And then I'll have to say this. Look, if Will Fuller can finally stay healthy, put together a full season, the guy has tremendous talent through the roof.
Yeah.
We saw what he did in Notre Dame and what he's done just in limited time now for the NFL. I think here's a guy, like I said, you can put him in a number of situations. They can run multiple plays, 3rd down and 1, key short yardage, dump over the middle. But I think a guy that I think to rely on more, and you're right, you made a good point in the beginning when you said selective play calling. I think O'Brien is very conservative, even on, like I said, the small down situations, short yardage situations. Now, I think the question is they're going to have to run the football. If you can establish a run in the NFL,
Yep.
you can move the chains. And that's the same way in just any level of collegiate or high school football. So David Johnson is going to have to be a key guy there in the backfield because, again, here's a guy with a lot of money. Cardinals dumped the contract. And so I think between Darren Fells and a combination of one other receiver, and then you look at David Johnson being utilized out of the backfield in some, very key pass situations there in the offense. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of new look receiving core, along with David Johnson, how it works for Bill O'Brien.
He's Brandon Morrell. He's one of the hosts over at the Sports Guys podcast. You can check him out at the sportsguyspodcast.com. Joining the Sports Guy Mike Show, talking some Houston Texans. Now, look, you made a great point about, having that three-headed situation for Deshaun. And I liked how you talked about David Johnson, but talk to me about Duke Johnson. I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. I'm a big fan of Duke. I really like him. I felt so bad when he got sent to Cleveland. So many of my Miami guys have gone to Cleveland. I feel so bad, but I was so happy when he finally went to a team like the Texans. What do you expect out of him? I know they went and got David Johnson because they're not quite sure. Where are you guys at with Duke Johnson right now?
And I'll tell you this, and I'll kind of preface it with this. I was surprised, the second-round pick when they used it on Ross Blaylock, the defensive tackle out of TCU, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I'm a little surprised with the running backs on the board and watching the draft. A lot of the backs didn't really go to the second round. You look at DeAndre Swift out of Georgia and some of the other players out there.
Right.
The J.K. Dobbins and kind of where some of the guys ended up. But here's a guy they have to depend on. Look, Carlos Hyde rushed for over 1,000 yards. That hadn't happened for a Texans running back since Arian Foster, who was an undrafted free agent, too, at the same time. And we're talking years back, And so for me, I think Duke has to be, and we said this, a little bit before, a key third down back, goal line situations that you can utilize him in. And here's a guy, again, knows how to get to the sticks. And I think, when a play collapses, he's a guy that also can turn something negative into a positive, too, at the same time. And I'm with you. Duke didn't rush for 1,000 yards, still had, 600 yards or somewhere in that vicinity last year. But again, it comes down to what I like to say is, and I'm not a Bill O'Brien fan. Again, I admit he's a control freak, but I think at the same time, he's still there. He's still got 2 titles, head coach and GM, which I don't agree with a coach having a GM title at the same time. But I will say this, if he can somehow get along with players, not clash, and not have to be, the big man on campus, he can utilize Duke Johnson in many situations and not have to put all that pressure on his receiving core. Because let's face it, you're going to have guys come out and play cover 2, cover 3. They're going to double Cooks. They're going to try to find a way to get somebody on the body on Will Fuller and play man-to-man. So that leaves Kenny Stills and Kiki Kuti kind of as guys that you can sit there and if you don't cover, they can beat you. But I'm with you. Duke's a guy you can even line up outside in the slot.
Yeah.
You put Duke on the numbers out there, top of the key. And Duke can still beat you from the receiving side of things, too, at the same time. So, I still wish the Texans had a legit offensive coordinator to kind of help O'Brien.
Yeah.
As some teams do. But I'm with you. I'm a Duke fan. And after now losing Carlos Hyde, again, you have to have
that hurt.
running back.
Yeah, I know that hurt you guys. That had to.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm not trying to downplay David Johnson, but numbers are numbers and facts are facts. It's not like we're sitting here beating the guy up for no reason. He's just inconsistent. He can't stay healthy. You were just talking about Will Fuller. He's another one. So to me, it was so bizarre. I'm like, okay, so you have a wide receiver that you can't keep that can't stay healthy. Now you're going to bring in a running back that can't stay healthy? Oh yeah. Good job, Bill. Good job, Bill. So, it's just really, it was a little bizarre to me, but Brandon, you want to stick around? We're going to talk about how your Texans did in the draft. You got a minute?
We do. Yes, sir.
All right. Stick around, guys. We're going to come back and talk to Brandon about what the Texans did as far as the draft goes and a couple other things we'll talk about. Don't go anywhere. Sports Guy Mike Show presented by Venture Travel and Tickets. Make sure you give them a call at 719-357-7510. It's Venture Travel and Tickets, the best way to get away. Keep it locked, y'all. We'll be right back. You know, I went to one of those guys that you see on TV all the time, and they said my claim was too small.
You need to call McDowell Law Firm. No claim is too big or too small. They specialize in criminal defense, DUI defense, and of course, personal injury.
I need that number.
You can call them at 719-227-0022. That's McDowell Law Firm at 719-227-0022. Or online at McDowellFirm.com.
Thanks, Mary. I'm going to call him right now.
When you bring your taxes to Liberty Tax, we'll handle it. No matter what you throw at us, no matter what you need, no matter what. And we're so confident we'll do a great job. You'll want to bring us your friends, your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, your co-workers. You may even want to bring us everyone in the world. But please don't. We're not staffed for that. Liberty Tax. Bring it. We'll handle it.
Due to recent events with COVID-19, Liberty Tax now can do your tax return remotely. Give them a call at 866-871-1040 or visit them online at libertytax.com. Type in your zip code to find your nearest Liberty Tax office today. That's 866-871-1040. Liberty Tax, where you do life, they do taxes.
Having car problems? Maintenance coming up on your vehicle? Don't gamble your money away at other mechanic shops. Come to All Service Auto. At All Service Auto, you get the quality workmanship and parts that you demand. Professionals at All Service Auto strive to make your experience the best you've ever had, from beginning to end. Everything from engine replacements to tire rotations. All Service Auto can get your vehicle back on the road and driving like you want it. No job is too big or too small. All Service Auto works on all makes and models, making them your one-stop mechanic shop with affordable prices and customer service that is leaps and bounds above the rest. Make your first choice All Service Auto, located at 3455 Shelton Loop, right near the intersection of Platt and Shelton. Call to set up your next appointment at 719-573-0292. Taking care of vehicles and the people who drive them. All Service Auto. Call now, 719-573-0292. All Service Auto.
Adult Youth Swanson Counseling is a licensed and accredited OBH treatment facility providing people services in the criminal justice system for over 6 years. Adult Youth Swanson Counseling is located on 1826 East Platte, on the corner of Platte and Union, where the counselors are not only licensed and accredited, but also have life experience. They offer court-ordered DUI classes and any mandated court-ordered treatment. Use the promo code RADIO and pay only $20 for your initial intake fee for level 2. Adult Youth Swanson Counseling, where we help you feel better so you can get better and live a successful life.
Blaze one for the nation.
KCBR AM Monument, K253 AH Colorado Springs.
It's crazy, you heard me?
The new Blazin' 98.5.
Here's your upside to quarantine fact of the day. Wearing masks makes it easier for women to avoid having to put on any makeup.
No!
We just have to remember that we don't have any on when we take off the mask.
No!
That was your upside to quarantine fact of the day.
Welcome back to the Sports Guy Mike Show on KCBR 98.5, 95.7 AM 1040 and online at SportsGuyMike.com. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, making us a part of your day. We appreciate it as always. Don't forget to go check us out on social media at SportsGuyMike on Twitter, Facebook, and of course, Instagram. Still hanging out with us on the program, Brandon Morrell. He is one of the hosts of the Sports Guys podcast. And tell him a little bit about what you guys do over there, Brandon. Sorry about that, man. Go ahead.
No problem. We're good. So actually, I spent about 17 years in radio broadcasting. And so what I decided to do was kind of, I just have this passion for sports and music that I always had. And I DJ'd for a lot of years, different genres of music for radio stations here in Texas, Houston, San Antonio, Beaumont for some of the markets. And myself and one of my coworkers, we decided to put together a podcast that included both. And we actually work with a number of PR firms in Nashville and all over the country. And we actually interview some of the biggest names in the music business, in country and all genres of music. I mean, recently we just had Johnny Gill, R&B legend. We had
nice.
Later this month, we've got the Baja Men coming up. They've got a new single out too as well with our music podcast. It's called the Backstage Pass. And the Backstage Pass can be found on Twitter at Backstage Pass 35. And also, too, we have all the music shows we upload. Some of the big names in country music we've done: Lee Greenwood, Johnny Lee. We've done Crystal Gale. We actually have Pam Tillis coming up next week for country music, for interviews.
Wow.
These are exclusive things that we do.
Right.
Also, we actually talk with some guys from ESPN Radio. Freddie Coleman, he does a series called The Coleman Report. It comes on bi-weekly, and we touch on a lot of the things out there, the big topics in sports, especially that affect us here in Texas. And also, we do talk with Sean Salisbury. Also, we've had Taylor McGregor from ESPN come on too as well. So we've really been building this thing at the SportsGuysPodcast.com. People can check it out. And actually, one of my buddies works for KCN out of Waco, Texas. He's a sports director up there for that TV station. And like we covered the NFL draft last week, he had an exclusive conference call with Mel Kiper Jr. from ESPN. So we actually got some good stuff with some of the big reporters all over the country. So it's a really cool podcast. And like I said, you never know who's going to come on.
Right.
I tell people, just like your show, man, the surprises keep coming. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's great stuff, man. I was checking it out. Yeah, I've had Freddie on the show before. Salisbury, man, that I could tell you a story about that, but I won't. We don't have time. But so the Texans, like us, you guys had less picks than the Steelers did. But you guys had 5 picks in this year's draft. The first pick you guys used was on Ross Blacklock. Big old boy, 6'3", 290 from TCU, defensive tackle. Tell me a little bit about where you saw, and if you had to give your Texans a grade, what grade would you give them for their draft picks, and did they do well?
I'd say right now, looking at what they had to do on the defensive side of the ball, this was one of the weakest defenses in the NFL last year. I mean, you look at only 31 sacks last year compared to the year before. They had 46 sacks. So the bottom line is they could get to the quarterback. They had to use some of these 5 picks on impact guys that have the potential, and I use that word kind of scarcely, but you understand the NFL draft is kind of one of those things that can do all these things at the combine that they want to run a 4.45 40, but it's what you do when you get out there on a Sunday to prove what you can do in the scheme and do all these picks fit new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver's scheme. Got to remember, Romeo Crennel has been around a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And to have the fewest number of sacks in 19 compared to what you did in 18, they've got to put pressure on the quarterback. I mean, you look at how the division is getting better. I mean, you got Minshew Mania down in Jacksonville. You got Rivers now with the Colts. I mean, the Tennessee Titans and Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and no fluke up there with head coach Mike Vrabel. So this is a division that's becoming a lot better. I know people say it's a little bit weak when it comes to talent, but the bottom line is, again, the Colts had a great draft, too, as well. So you've got teams now that are looking to take that next step. I mean, here's a guy, Doug Marrone, on the hot seat in Jacksonville. And I think you had to use these picks on the defensive side of the ball, like I said, to where you were kind of weak last year. And I think he did that in getting a guy like Ross Blacklock. I mean, here's a guy that's an interior lineman. He's basically going to take the place of DJ Reader, who left free agency to the Cincinnati Bengals. A good versatility. I mean, he can get to the quarterback. He's got a good first step. And I think, the bottom line with him, I like with him is he's got that bull rush and he's got good hands. And he's probably a 3-tech. He's a 3-technique guy. He's going to play the outside shoulder there and, help J.J. Watt inside. And then the bottom line is that's going to allow the linebackers to probably plug a lot of the B-gap stuff when you look at Whitney Merciless and Brennan Scarlett, too, as well. They've got a pretty decent linebacking core. And like I said, with Reader gone and, Clowney's still kind of out there on the market after that trade a couple of years ago, you got Jacob Barton, who did some good things last year, coming over from the Seahawks. So I like Blacklock, too, as well. And you got to remember, this is the Texans defense that allowed a league worst 6.1 yards per play last season. That's a lot of yardage per play. And so I think, they had to do that with the big man out of TCU. And here's a guy that has all the potential in the world to play a 3-tech. And, like I said, I like his first step. He's got great hands. And, it's just one of those things to see until they get in that scheme and you figure out what Anthony Weaver is going to do as a new defensive coordinator. We won't know what these guys can do until we hit the field this fall.
Sure, absolutely. Now, I do have to say, I'm a big fan of big guys in the NFL. It blows my mind to see athletes that are, I don't know, freakishly large, if you will. And, you guys obviously needed a little bit of help on that offensive line as well to keep Deshaun in the pocket for as long as possible. They went out and got Jonathan Green out of Florida, and you went out and got a guy named Charlie Heck, who is, first of all, I love the guy's name. Second of all, I've seen tape on this kid. This kid is 6'8", 311 pounds, and moves like a guy that's 6'4", 250. What do you think about these two pickups for your offensive line?
I think, you look at Charlie Heck. I mean, here's a guy, you mentioned the size, the strength, the mobility to move a little bit and kind of move laterally and stuff like that. And depending on what types of play calls you're looking at, there's, zone blocking, or we're looking at RPO. We're looking at, getting off the first level, getting to the second level when it comes to, establishing the run and stuff like that for Bill. I mean, here's a guy they traded up for. So obviously they had some value in this guy right now when it comes to Charlie Heck. It gives them depth at tackle to go behind last year's first-round pick, Titus Howard. And you look at Laramie Tunsil, we talked about how big he was, coming over from the Miami Dolphins, giving up first-round picks for him and Kenny Stills. And Laramie was kind of your left tackle. He kind of protected Deshaun's, blind side there too as well. But here's a guy you can move from, tackle to tackle, from side to side, maybe give Laramie, a couple plays off here and there. And I think, when it comes down to it, I like his movement. I think he's a great run blocker. And I think at the same time, it gives him a little bit of depth behind Howard and, of course, Laramie Tunsil. But a big guy. We saw him in the ACC, so he did play in one of the Power 5 conferences too as well. And I think he's got a smooth kick step at the same time and enough kind of the length there to push the speed rushers past the quarterback so they can't get to him. And I think this is a guy right now that you're going to see probably do well on the pro level. I'm not saying Pro Bowl type guy, but here's a guy that can have a decent career if he stays healthy being the key. And the bottom line is, again, they've got to establish the run. And I think, David Johnson or Duke would even tell you, too, at the same time, Johnson and Johnson have to be effective when out of the backfield when it comes down to it. So Heck is going to be a guy they depend on. As far as Jonathan Greenard, I like the linebacking core, Whitney Merciless, Brennan Scarlett, Jacob Martin. But I think when you look at it, I'm not as high on this kid when it comes to Jonathan Greenard. I think he's going to be more of a plug a gap kind of guy, beat gap type player. Kind of work the edge. They could use him off the edge as kind of an edge rusher too. At the same time, a guy to get to the quarterback. I already kind of mentioned the Texans did have 26 in the league last year when it came to sacks. So this is a guy that you can put in a number of situations. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what Anthony Weaver does as a new DC to utilize this linebacking core. But let's face it, Whitney Merciless is the guy when it comes to the Texans linebacking core. So if your linebackers are making plays in your defensive scheme, that's the guys that are going to get their names in the papers the next day. It's not going to be your defensive lineman. You win the battles up front. But I think, Merciless, Watt, Blacklock, and, of course, Greenard has to be a guy that, again, has to be a key force in this game. Let's face it.
Yeah. Now, to switch away out of the Texans and into the NFL, we're, in these uncertain times, as everybody likes to use that particular phrase. Not a big fan of it, but it is what it is. And things are starting to open up, for me, a little too soon for my liking. I kind of am enjoying my quarantine status. And I think I'm going to keep it for as long as possible, just because I don't like people that much anyway. So, so for me, I know a lot of, I'm staying here, but I know a lot of people are ready to get out and everything like that. But there's been a lot of polls and people asked, are you going to go back? How soon would you go back to a sporting event? And a lot of people are saying things like, well, I have to see a virus, what's the word I'm looking for? Vaccine. I need a vaccine before I will even think about going anywhere, let alone a sporting event. Now, obviously, these guys are missing OTAs. They're missing practices. All the facilities are closed. It's very hard, especially for these rookies, for the, second and third year guys that really maybe aren't making a whole lot of money. They don't have a gym in their house. They live in an apartment. You know what I mean? So do you, from where you sit now, obviously I've talked to some people and I've gotten some speculation, but that's all it is. How many games do you think we're going to end up with this year? From what I'm hearing, somewhere between 12 and 14, because a lot of these owners and coaches don't want to sacrifice the buildup, the camps, the time that the guys get to actually sit and work out and, learn plays and actually do what they normally do. So instead they want to sacrifice games instead of practicing and things of that nature. What are you hearing on your end?
I think the biggest thing with you is the fact that we're all kind of ready to get back to that unsocial distancing type thing where we could get out and kind of feel a part of a group again or socialize with our friends or family and that kind of thing. And, we just don't know right now. It's such an uncertain time we're in. And the sports world has been on pause for a little over a month now when the leagues, different leagues went down. I mean, as far as the NFL, let me say this. First of all, Roger Goodell I'm not a big fan of, but I will say this: the NFL pulled off a miracle when it came to a virtual NFL draft. They really did, and I love the coverage. ABC, ESPN. I thought the guys did really well from the home studios in Bristol. And, you're right. Just uncertain times that we just don't know right now how many games. And I think, we won't know anything until the next couple of months. But you're right about what I feel for is the rookies, because they haven't, gotten the paychecks yet. They're still looking for, houses in certain areas. They're moving their families. They're putting their kids maybe in a public school when schools get back to, hopefully this fall, get back underway. So I think this is uncertain times. And I think if you're, you've signed your contract, you can negotiate those. It's one thing to pull off a virtual NFL draft. It's another thing trying to orchestrate and play a full season and then hope you have fans.
Right.
50, 60, 70,000 fans fill the seats again. Because honestly, look, you're right. Look, WWE is one thing. Watching it without fans, it's still not normal when it comes to the wrestling side of things.
Right.
But it gives people an escape out from COVID-19. And I think you have to look at the NFL being played without fans is scary. Major League Baseball, and of course, the hockey, the National Hockey League, and of course, if you look at, like I said, the NBA, we just don't know right now what's going to happen with sports in times that we've never seen in this country since 1918, I guess they were saying the other day on the news. So,
Spanish flu,
yeah, Spanish flu. So I think right now, depending on what hockey does, what the NBA does. Now, what I was reading this morning, I think for MLB. I think we will have a season. I think it's going to be shortened. I think a lot of things for the Astros down here. You're looking at teams using their home ballparks for at least a good 3-4 week spring training with some exhibition games. I was reading something the other day. They're looking maybe around late June, early July, getting back to playing, maybe 100 games or so in there. Let's face it, they're losing over half the season. And so you have to think that for anybody to come out and say they're going to suspend a season, much less cancel it, I mean, billions of dollars would be lost when marketing and advertising and sponsorships for these guys, for these owners. They're going to lose a lot of money. And so, you have to find some way to salvage something. I think the NBA continues forward, finding some way to get maybe 15, 20 regular season games in and have some kind of neutral site postseason.
Sure.
MLB, like I said, it would be great to just see some kind of sports on television again. But today's the first day. We flipped the calendar. Today's May. And I'm looking forward to something coming back so we can watch some kind of sports on TV again. But you're right. It's very uncertain times that we just won't know until they come up with a vaccine.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And, I don't know how many times I can go to ESPN and watch the Ocho. Don't get me wrong, bro. I am a big Ocho fan. I love me some Ocho. Nothing like sitting at home on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday and watching grown men spit cherry seeds out of their mouths. Now, I know I'm in Colorado, but I'm from New York. So, I haven't seen a whole lot of that in my day. But, and here's the thing, man. They have, they're looking at about a $12 billion loss in revenue. That is, that's huge. And not even to mention how many jobs are being lost. So we definitely need to get back to it. Look, I was kidding, and obviously, when I said I don't like people anyway, I'd be pretty stupid in the job I'm in, right? But I will say this. I am definitely the guy that is going to remain cautious for as long as possible. I miss my friends. I hate sitting on my deck and smoking a cigar by myself. I would love nothing more than a couple of my buddies to come over and smoke a cigar with me. But we can't do that right now. But when it comes to the sports, I think we're really going to have it's still going to be a while before there's going to be big crowds and big, and big gatherings like that. When it comes to football, I think that we're going to have a super short season. I know I've been hearing 12 to 14 games. I honestly think we're going to see about 10 games if we're lucky. I think baseball is going to be about 80 games if we get that many. Might be 60. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's going to come back for the fans as fast as the fans would like to. However, I think that they are going to figure out something to get sports back interjected into our lives without fans around, just for one, revenue purposes, and two, so that these guys can get back to their livelihood as well. And that, and the other thing that's weird about this is the MLB and the NFL, they're going to have to, there's already other streams of money that they're able to make other than ticket sales. But ticket sales are so huge that, they got to figure that anything is better than nothing. And I'm sure that that's what their plan is. And that's why they're pushing so hard to try to find these venues like Disneyland and all this other stuff.
You know, and like you said, I never thought we'd ever see this type of pandemic in our country, especially coming off, you know, some great fall sports. And I think, you know, where it kind of affects it, Mike, a little bit more is you look at, I feel for the college ranks. I feel for the players in college and the NCAA for spring sports. Look, I was a high school coach for 8 years. I feel for our high school athletes, especially down here in Texas and nationwide. Sure. The fact that some of them will not get a chance to kind of replay the senior season from the high school level. Maybe at the collegiate level, spring sports, you know, has already said they're going to allow the fifth-year seniors to come back and play the spring sports, not the fall sports. And I think, you know, these guys, like you said, have put in the summer workouts, the training, where that's where you win the battle in the trenches and you win in the off season. And the off season, you get better in your sports, you get better at your craft, you get weightlifting, you get on a workout regimen. These guys have to eat right, get on a diet, and, you know, train their bodies year round. And almost it's like, it's so scary because it's at a standstill right now because, look, the NBA you mentioned was, you know, some 50, 60 games almost into their season.
Yep.
And right now, the month of April was the first round, second round of the playoffs. We're preparing for, you know, the NBA finals and the Western Conference, Eastern Conference finals. These guys had to just kind of hit the brakes and go, what am I doing? It's going to be like recreating training camp all over again for any sport out there. And, you know, spring training was halted after only about 10 or 12 games. So I'm with you. If baseball gets 60 or 70, if they're lucky, they can't have fans, but they can have some sense of normalcy again. You mentioned billions of dollars lost for owners and also for players and, you know, revenue for teams. I mean, TV contracts. Think about, you know, like I said, the Los Angeles Dodgers and New York Yankees who have some of the big TV contracts. The Yes Network, you know, paying all the sponsors, you know, for all those people out there. And I can tell you one of the biggest events that was impacted down here, one of the music events we went to cover in Houston was the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo in March when they shut it down for a lot of the mom and pop businesses. So I think it's going to come back eventually. I think MLB is probably one of the first ones you're looking at. And today, I know they were saying they're going to open their home ballparks for some type of spring training. And, you know, here's my thing. If you know who your starting pitcher is that day, you know what your lineup is going to be. They're going to have to be, you know, probably spread out in the dugout. Some of them may be wearing masks. And I heard some things about, you know, maybe some guys out in the bullpen, maybe some guys sitting in the stands with limited to no fans. So I think we're in weird times, and I think, you know, you and I have been around sports a long time. We've never seen anything like this, and I hope we never see anything like this ever again.
I completely agree with you. He's Brandon Morrell, and he is from the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Make sure you go check him out. Hey, Brandon, thanks for taking the time, buddy. We look forward to having you on again soon.
You got it, Mike. Really appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
You got it, buddy. All right, there he is, Brandon Morrell. Go check him out, the Sports Guys with an S, podcast.com. Great stuff over there. Make sure you go check them out. All right, y'all. Real quick before we get out of here, I did want to do a couple quick things. Denver Broncos linebacker Von Miller says that he is now negative for the coronavirus. That is great news here in Colorado. So glad to hear that. He did tweet yesterday that he is negative 2 weeks after announcing that he had been diagnosed with it. On April 16th, Vaughn announced his diagnosis, saying he went public to emphasize that anyone can be afflicted with this virus. So we are glad to hear that he is now negative. On Twitter, he posted, "Got my results back. I'm negative from COVID-19." So we're super happy to report that, and a good thing all in all. Let's see. Oh, Alex Smith. Make sure you guys check out that 30. I don't know if it's a 30 for 30 or if it's just a special that they're doing on ESPN. Looks very interesting. If you're a fan, make sure you go check it out. Some sports and celebrity birthdays for May 1st, 2020. Darius McCrary is 44 years old today. Who is that, you ask? Well, he played Eddie Winslow on a little TV show called Family Matters with Urkel. Happy birthday to him. Wes Anderson is 51 years old today. Country singer Tim McGraw turns 53. And who you gonna call? Maybe Ray Parker Jr. He is 66 years old today. Of course, he sang the theme song for Ghostbusters. Rita Coolidge is 75 years old today. Happy birthday to her. She actually, the song, Your Love Has Lifted Me Higher and Higher. What's so funny is that song was also used in a Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbuster 2. It just wasn't Rita Coolidge's version, but you know. Today is Couple Appreciation Day. Now, these national days are kind of killing me because I got a wife that has a birthday in May, Mother's Day. We don't need couples appreciation. I appreciate her every day. On this day in sports history in 1920, Babe Ruth hit his first home run as a New York Yankee, and it was actually his 50th career home run. And on this day in 1992, Ricky Henderson stole his 1,000th base. And that is your today in sports history. 4 days until Teacher Appreciation Day, 9 days until Mother's Day, and 21 days until Memorial Day weekend. So today's May 1st, and I gotta say, I'm a chocolate fan. I love chocolate. So today's National Chocolate Parfait Day. I'd rather just eat a candy bar. Today is National Loyalty Day as well as Mother Goose Day. Interesting. And today is also National Space Day. And yeah, there you go. So those are your national days. We are going to get out of here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and making us part of your day. We appreciate it as always. Thanks to Brandon Morrell for coming on and hanging out with us. Go check him out on the SportsGuysPodcast.com and check out some of the great stuff that he's got going on. Have a great weekend. Be kind to each other. Stay safe. And remember, go out. If you're going to go out, I know things are open today, and just still be cautious, people. We don't want a huge second wave hitting us in a matter of a week. So let's be smart. Let's be safe and enjoy your weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful here in Colorado. And yeah, make sure you get outside and enjoy some of that weather. All right, y'all. As we say around here all the time, don't sweat small stuff. We're out here. See ya.
Blaze one for the nation.
KCBR AM Monument, K253AH Colorado Springs.
It's crazy, you heard me?
The new Blazin' 98.5.